come to order. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The meeting will please come to order. Everybody can hear in the back now? Okay. First on our agenda, I'm going to ask Dave to introduce the Board of Directors for you.
Okay, we have one board member we know that will be absent today. That would be Steve Castor, one of our members at large. He is in Hawaii celebrating his retirement from Confluence Health, and we congratulate him on that. But we're also missing one, let's see, Tamara Stephan is not here yet. We expect to see her. We've got several of our board members are very busy people holding down jobs, and so, things get in the way sometimes. All right, well, let me just go down the table here, starting on my left, your right. Erin Cass, please stand up. She's one of our members at large. She came on the board last year, and many of you in the community know Erin. She's been heavily involved in the community in so many ways with nonprofits over the past. Pam McGee, please stand up. Our first vice chair, Pam, has been on the board for a number of years and very active in the senior center, does a lot of good for me and helping me research various things. And so welcome, Pam. Kathy Bruno, she is one of our directors, and she's been with us, 6, 7 years now? And all 5, okay, give or take. And she also has helped us quite a bit. She helps us with bingo and been volunteering in a lot of capacities. And then Margie Benson, our second vice chair. I think she is running for one of the positions this year, and so I'll reintroduce her in a few minutes. And then our chair is Rosalie Richardson, and she's on her second term as the chair. I want to introduce Karen Christensen. She's our recorder, and she's sitting next to me to make sure I get all this right. Daryl Dickinson, one of our directors, been with us for several years now on the board. Peggy Moxley's been here longer than anybody. Peggy, please stand up. She's been providing our legal advice for a good many years, long before I ever got here. Thanks for coming out, Peggy. And then I mentioned Tamara Stephan's not here yet. We expect to see her soon. And then Hal Turner, our past chair. And Hal has been very dedicated to the senior center. He was here on the board when I arrived almost 10 years ago. Okay, that's our current board of directors. And let's see, we're going to have the minutes from last year's meeting. Rosalie.
Last year's annual meeting was August 12th of 2021. Present was Rosalie Richardson, Chairman, Dave Tosch, Executive Director, Pamela McGee, First Vice Chair, Treasurer, and Kathy Bruno, Director A, Margie Vincent, Director C, Daryl Dickinson, Member at Large, Steve Castor, Member at Large, Donna Pitkin, Member at Large, Hal Turner, Past Chair, Karen Christensen, Recording Secretary. The meeting was called to order at 1 p.m. by Chairman Rosalie Richardson. The minutes were recorded, and Chairman Richardson announced that the meeting would be recorded by the Recording Secretary. Introduction of the Board of Directors was done by Dave Tosch, and the current Board of Directors was introduced to the audience. Our welcome, Rosalie Richardson welcomed everyone in attendance and thanked all for coming to this annual meeting. She reported that though the center had been closed due to COVID-19, that we have continued to have board meetings during this closure. The introduction of candidates was done. Dave Tosch introduced all the candidates up for election. They are all running unopposed. The candidates' position and length of term. Rosalie Richardson was running for chair for 2 years. Pam McGee was running for first vice chair for 2 years. Margie Vincent was running for second vice chair 1 year. That was to finish out a term. Kathy Bruno was running for Director A for 3 years, and Daryl Dickinson was running for Director C for a 2-year term, which was also filling out a 3-year term, but he was only running for 2 years. Chairman called for attendance count by the staff for a quorum validation, and D. Clark reported that the quorum was in attendance. We had a vote for candidates. Rosalie noted that since we weren't able to meet for an annual meeting in 2020, that we were unable to hold elections in 2020. Though delayed, we would be voting on candidates today. Rosalie Richardson then called for a vote from the general membership for each of the above candidates. The votes were conducted by a hand vote. All candidates were voted in unanimously by the members in attendance. Bylaw changes were considered. The proposed changes to the existing bylaws were read to the membership by Dave Tosch. It was noted that we can only vote on changes to the bylaws with a physical quorum. A hand vote was requested to pass these changes. The proposed changes passed unanimously. The executive director's report was given. Dave Tosch thanked all the board members for their support this last year. We had anticipated a soft reopening in September, but with the current virus spikes, we will not be able to have that opening. The thrift store is continuing to do well, averaging $32,000 to $34,000 a month. Keeping the thrift store open is critical to our center remaining viable. We have kept the mask requirement in place, spread out over the inventory throughout the center, and have retained all of our employees. During this last year, we have continued to complete projects around the center, including the painting of the outside of the building. Dave then reported that the finances of the center are remaining to do well, and we are staying in good shape. We have continued to publish the newsletter to mainly keep in touch with our members, and also to continue to receive advertising revenue. Daryl Dickinson's project, Aging Mastery, is still going strong, and kits are still available to anyone who is interested in picking one up at the center. We are continuing to record new installments for Vibrant Living and Vibrant Motion, currently aired on the North Central Washington Live channel. This helps us to better educate the community about the activities at the center. Dave Tosch then asked if there were any questions from the members. One member expressed that they enjoyed getting the newsletter during this time, even though the center is closed. Dave also mentioned that we are working with ARP in regards to scams and frauds currently aimed at the senior generation. Dave reiterated that our goal is to get people back in the center, but we'll only do so when it's safe. The chairman's final remarks were Rosalie Richardson gave praise to the staff of the center. She also gave thanks to the board for being so flexible and doing everything that has been asked of them. The meeting was adjourned at 1:45 p.m. And these minutes were approved by the board of directors at the following meeting that followed the annual meeting. And Dave?
We're here primarily today to vote for two candidates for our board, and I want to make those introductions. I actually already mentioned Margie Vincent. Please stand up, Margie. Margie's running for her current position for a second term as the second vice chair. And I mentioned she's got an extensive background not only on the board, but as a volunteer at the Senior Center. In fact, I remember vividly when she first started volunteering here. It was during the remodel of the thrift store, and she did a lot of painting. And then we learned how good of a painter she was, and when we painted the social hall, she was a key ingredient to making all that happen. But she's done a lot for the Senior Center. She's here often, and she stays in touch with what's really going on here. So she's running unopposed. Sorry. And then we have Jim Tarbert. Please stand, Jim. Jim Tarbert, been a member for 10 years. He has been in charge of the writers group and has moderated that group and led them along. That's a very viable group that we've had over the number of years. And I think he's turned the reins over to another gentleman to kind of do that. But Jim is also volunteering here in a number of capacities, including in the thrift store. And we are going expertise in some other areas that we've discovered that he has accumulated over the years. And many of you may remember him. He taught Wenatchee schools for a number of years and had his own business here in town, a taxidermy business. And he's also been involved with property management and doing a lot of remodeling of homes and rentals and things of that nature. We think that's going to really be beneficial to us because we're going to be looking at some new ideas here in the next few months. So he is also running unopposed for Director B, and that's a 3-year position. Okay, so am I back to you?
Now I would ask for attendance count for the quorum validation deed.
We have 48 people in attendance and 37 absentee ballots for a quorum of 85 people.
85, that exceeds our quorum needs. So now I would ask that the ballots be completed. If you haven't already completed your ballot, please vote on your ballot, and Dee will be picking them up and counting them. While I've got a minute, I want to thank everybody for not only coming to lunch and enjoying that fine lunch that Penny put on, but also for staying for our annual meeting. We really, really appreciate it. I know that we've been closed for a long time, and everybody that I talk to is very, very happy that we are opening again. And I want to let you know that I know that it would be wonderful to be able to open up everything in one fell swoop, but that unfortunately isn't the way we can do it. So bear with us. We appreciate your patience, and we appreciate all of those people who are willing to volunteer and to accept the opening as it occurs. Okay, here are the results of the election. I know there's only one person in each position, however, we have 45 votes for Marjorie Vincent. So Marjorie, you have been reelected to another 2-year term.
Thank you.
Good luck, Evan. And for Jim Tarbert, you're going to be with us. And for you, three-year term, Jim. I have to say, I've said this to many of you personally, but I have the best board in the world. I really do. They are such great people, and they do anything and everything asked of them. And I cannot appreciate them more. Okay, that's it. We've got them elected, and they're going to be on the 2022-23 board, beginning July 1st.
As promised, here I am to give you a little bit of an update on where we're at, where we're going, where we've been, and I would ask that you just hold some of your questions until I get wrapped up here. I will say this, that I've noticed that there's several people here today that used to come to coffee regularly in the mornings, and I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that we are starting coffee in the morning at 9 a.m. in the coffee bar area, self-serve. Okay? And I'll just say this, and I've been saying this in my articles, you know, we are attempting to do this in a slow, steady process. We didn't want to open it up all at once. We were concerned about a lot of folks in one room at a time. We still are concerned about that. I will tell you that as it stands right now, we have 2 of our staff in the thrift store they were out all last week and they're out all this week with COVID. And so we've experienced some of this ourselves, and our concern again is if we keep the crowds down and we don't have a lot of people here mingling often and with a lot of numbers, that we're going to be in better shape. So we don't micromanage all that. We're just thinking that it's a good approach to keep our numbers down a bit. But I will say this, that all of the activities that we've reopened for have been very well attended, and it's mostly exercise, and we're slowly getting some other of the activities back together. I'd also tell you that just a reminder that yes, the thrift store is occupying a lot of space for a lot of reasons, and my presentation is going to get into some of that. I want to talk about the lunch program because I know many of you that are here today are regulars at our lunch, and we're here today for lunch. Let me give you just a little bit of background with our lunch program. We've always had a lunch program at the senior center, okay, from day one. In fact, most senior centers were created for a place for seniors to go to have lunch. That's really kind of how the senior centers came about years ago. And I will say that we have always been with the federal government program up until recently. And that's one of the reasons for many of the changes that we're going to incur here. When I got here, they were giving us or reimbursing us $5 and change per meal. It hasn't gone up. It's not going to go up as far as anyone can tell. We have always subsidized our lunch program to the tune of $30,000 to $40,000 a year on top of what the government gave us. And with the government money, you accept a lot of strings attached to that money. For instance, we had to report our attendance every day with a computerized system and had to have a part-time employee take care of all that. They did the lunch counts, check-ins, and all the reporting. It was somewhat of a cumbersome situation for us, but we put up with it. About a month after I got here, I got a call from the agency is Okanagan County Transportation and Nutrition. That's the organization we contracted with for the lunch program to receive our reimbursements from the government. Aging and Adult Care in East Wenatchee contracts with OCTN. It's the only organization they can identify to take care of that responsibility of managing the senior nutrition resources for the entire region, okay? All the small senior centers and the centers of our size. But when I first got here, and actually there was an article in the paper several months after I got here about how OCTN was having to subsidize the program beyond their means. And there were some things done about all that. But I felt always that the government had not thought things through very well. For instance, I got calls about, well, how come your donations aren't enough to take care of your head counts? Well, they told us that we had to have a donation box set aside where nobody could observe who was putting money in or not, or how much. So what I determined was there were a lot of people coming here for lunch that easily could have afforded the $4.50, well, back then I think it was $3.50, suggested donation, and a lot of people were not putting the money in. Then I get the call, well, why not? Well, we can't manage it, can we? You got a suggested donation box sitting off to the side. Nobody's allowed to monitor any of that. So that's when I realized we had an issue. Now, I'm not disparaging any of our membership or any of that. I just know how human nature is sometimes. Word had gotten around town that the senior center's got a lot of money, so why would we need help? And then I learned that I don't really want to talk about big numbers, because I mentioned one time we had $1 million budget. And then the rumor went around that we had $1 million in the bank. No, we had $1 million coming in and $1 million going out, for instance. So there's been a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of rumors and all of that. But the bottom line is that we knew that our head counts were going to drop off for a number of reasons. There's still a lot of people in our community that are very uncomfortable being around larger crowds, and that's just one reason. But we also know that there's a lot of issues in our economy right now, and we were kind of forecasting that a little bit. I'm not an economist, but I know that we go out on the market to purchase the food that we serve. And we give them the same amount of money from the government that we always got, with no increase for inflation or anything else, right? So why wouldn't we go on our own? And that way, we have people pay their way. But we're also, we've come up with a program to take care of those that are in need. And if somebody has an EBT card or they're low income, similar to the farmers market vouchers that are issued every year, they meet the low income requirements, then we can issue them a meal card. And we have a fund called the Angel Fund that was set up years ago for members that can apply for that kind of a need. And that's how we plan to take care of those that are truly in need. Yes, $7 is a lot of money for a lot of people. We get that. We do. But we also know that it's hard to forecast just what's going to happen in the future, and we can always adjust. And I'm going to keep talking about adjusting as we go. And we will always do that. So nothing is set in concrete, but we had to get a start, and this is our start. And I know that there's a lot of people complaining about no menu. Well, there again, to cut our costs, we don't know a month and a half ahead of time where all this food's going to come from. We're going to take advantage of any sources of supply that we can, including the warehouse that fuels all the food banks in our area. And when that product is available, we're going to use it. And for us to do a menu, we have to do that about 45 days in advance to get it in the newsletter. Oh, by the way, some people say, well, just post it on a website. Well, half our seniors don't have access to computers or a website, and that's another big challenge. So we don't want to be swamped with phone calls. What's for lunch today? What's for lunch tomorrow? What's for lunch next week? We are going to try and manage this and make it work, knowing that we can no longer subsidize the way we used to, because we have not been able to get, with the exception of one, we don't have any of our fundraisers up and running. Bingo is the exception, and we've had, I think, 6 bingos so far since we've reopened. Bingo's a big fundraiser for us. But all the other things that we used to do, crab feeds and travel's another one. The expenses, the prices of our travel have doubled and tripled. We do not have our own transportation. That was done away with years ago. We have no buses, we have none of that. We have to go out on the economy, and there's really only two sources. That would be the shuttle, Wenatchee Valley Shuttle, and the AA bus company. That's where we get our transportation for travel. Along with, of course, some of these major trips, which we think may pencil out if we can get enough people signed up, but we can't just go for free or not put all the time and effort into it without making a profit. So I know all of you are watching the news, you see what's going on in our economy. I don't want to go over all of that, but we are faced with a lot of challenges financially. And that's why the thrift store is taking up so much room, okay? And I know there's a lot of upset people as to why they're occupying certain spaces and all of that. I can tell you that our donations have more than doubled. We can no longer take donations through the entryway to the thrift store. That means we got another room back there that we got to dedicate for that. That means the bridge people and the pinochle people have no place to play their card games. They're not happy. But I will say the bridge group, most of them were not members. They were renting from us, and we're getting a whole lot more money from the thrift store than we are from the rent that they were paying us. So we're making these decisions the best we can. We're making adjustments along the way. We continue to add activities and programs along the way. And also trying to find our balance and our equilibrium, not only financially, but also just making all this work, knowing that COVID still exists. We know there's protocols that we got to deal with so when people do come down with COVID. Not everybody's telling us that they have COVID. And we're not we don't have the staffing. The reason we didn't open up earlier, we don't have the staffing to control all that or monitor everybody coming in our doors. And that's not something that we were willing to take on or want to even try. We all know that it's spreading through our community right now, but people are not going to the hospital, as far as we know, and going on respirators and ICU. All of that has calmed down, but people are still getting the virus. Some of them are getting rather sick, and we're trying to be as careful as we can and find that balance. And that has a lot to do with why we're keeping our head counts low and trying to manage that. But all of our fundraising has, in the past, been based on getting as many people as we can get into one room and make a lot of money. And I will say that bingo isn't necessarily that way, although we had 65 people playing bingo the last several weeks. And that's a really good number for us. And we're going to continue to do bingo. And we do have a sign outside saying, come at your own risk. And oh, by the way, I'll just mention this real quick. Some people say, well, why are you treating bingo different than everything else? Bingo is a fundraiser, and the public is welcome. We make a lot of money on bingo, and we need bingo. That's about the bottom line. And I just say that, the other thing I got is why don't you have to be a member to come to bingo? You have to be a member to do everything else. Bingo is a fundraiser, just like the craft fair, just like the crab feed, anything else that we do as a fundraiser, we welcome the public. And so that's what we're doing with bingo. Hopefully, we will get some of these other fundraising activities going again, where we can generate some more income and things will balance out. There's a lot of other things we're working on. I don't want to go into all of it because I'm going to start running out of time, but I wanted to show a couple charts. Russ, could you hit my slide on my computer? Yeah. By the way, Russ Holman, I don't know if many of you probably don't know Russ. He's been helping us with our TV shows that we've been doing. He does all the videos, he does all the editing on the local TV station. I can't tell you exactly what those schedules are, but they're on every day, and we have a new episode every week. We're getting a lot of positive feedback about those programs. Why are we doing the programs? Originally, it was to keep in touch with the senior community, tell them what we were up to, what we were doing. Also, telling the community about the senior center and the fact that we are not a assisted living. We're not a nursing home. We're an activity center. And there's still a lot of misunderstanding in our community as to what we are. So that's what we've been doing. That. Thought I'd mention that. Okay. Right now, this is how we're projecting our revenue, and you start at 12 o'clock high there and work your way around. So the first thing up there is memberships. A lot of people think our memberships pay for a whole lot of stuff here. Not necessarily so. We right now we're right around 1,500 members. Well, you average that out at $30 a member. That's $45,000. That doesn't pay for a whole lot. We are not raising our membership fees. It's the one thing that I have said that I don't want to do for a lot of reasons. And so I just try to make the point. Why do I have to be a member to participate at the senior center? Well, you use electricity, you use water, you're under a roof. There's a lot of expenses associated with that. Anyway, going on through here, donations, have done okay, but they dropped off. I always mention the city of Wenatchee. We get $208 a month in the form of a check from the city of Wenatchee. That adds up to $2,500 a year, and we had close to $1 million budget. I call that a placeholder in the city's budget. That's what we get from the government right now. And I'm talking about nothing from the county, nothing from the state, and nothing from the feds. We are a independent, nonprofit, self-sustaining organization, and we're trying to keep it that way. And that's why we're faced with a lot of these challenges. Okay, and then on through, we do have a large endowment at the Community Foundation downtown, and we do get a check in the fall every year for around $50,000. That's what that endowment is. And then obviously the thrift store is where almost, well, you can see the number. It's significant. And we continue to set new records in sales. And thank God we have a great staff and a lot of wonderful volunteers back there to make all that work. And they are working. They're working hard back there. And then fundraising, I mentioned we don't have a whole lot of that going on. Travel, same way. Space rentals, we're doing some. But bingo is going to pick up. I didn't update that chart to reflect some of what's going on with bingo. Bingo is going to pick up quite a bit. So that gives you a picture of where our money is coming from currently. Could you hit that next one? Now, I just wanted to show this to tell people why it costs us a lot of money to operate this place. We just paid our annual insurance premium. See, it's actually the blue, it's kind of hidden in the blue there. It's $28,000 insurance premium for a year. I just said memberships bring in $45,000 a year. You can see how far our memberships cover all these are just our basic expenses, okay? Doesn't talk about payroll, doesn't talk about any of that stuff. It's just that every month we get these bills in the mail. Garbage, computers, phones, electricity, water from the city. And oh, by the way, they did an audit on storm drains, and our price on that went from $150 a month to like $400 a month, because we got several storm drains. It's just an example. So anyway, we believe that we need to continue to advertise. We advertise the thrift store a lot. That's helping us back there. We're also using social media to make sure that the people in the community know that our thrift store is open to the public. That's helped us a lot in building our sales back there. And then, of course, the newsletter. The printing is associated with the newsletter. The postage mostly associated with the newsletter. Everybody says, well, just put it on the internet or just email it. We may get to the point where we're going to have people opt out for the newsletter, printed version, but we know we have a lot of seniors that really like to have a printed newsletter, and we're continuing to do that. I can see that change at some point. Or at least offer the opt-out for people that don't need a printed copy, and that's going to save us some money. But obviously, the prices are going up on printing, postage, what have you. Okay, I just wanted to show that as an example. And oh, by the way, just yesterday I had to call the Apple City Electric. We got a bunch of bulbs burned out in our outside parking lot lights. It'll cost us about $3,000 to get all that taken care of. And that's just almost like a weekly occurrence of something coming up like that. We've got 5 doors, exterior doors, that need help and need work on. That's going to probably cost me several $1,000s to get that taken care of. So it's not like the community just comes out, the PUD comes out, or the city of Wenatchee comes out and just takes care of everything. And I think there's an image out there that the senior center somehow is just taken care of. That either the city or the county or the PUD, no, we're paying our own way. We do get a break on property taxes. I will admit to that. That was taken to the state government a couple of years ago, where senior centers now get a big break on the property taxes. So we do get that. And we are a nonprofit. We don't pay income tax, but we pay all the other taxes, believe me. And so just thought I would mention that as part of the picture that we have in front of us. Okay, now, I think I've hit on most of the things. One other thing, I get, we print a list of all our employees, our staff, on the back page of the newsletter, and the question was, why do you have so many staff? Well, I'm paid staff, Dee's paid staff. We have accountant, bookkeeper, and HR person. That's Laura Oliver. We have Penny in the kitchen. We have Shannon in the thrift store. Those are our primary staff. They're salaried staff, and everyone else is a part-time employee, mostly associated with the thrift store. And we need those part-time employees in the thrift store because we got to depend on them day in and day out. We also have, as I said, a lot of really volunteers, and we're looking for more. We need more volunteers. And once we can get a few more people together, we're going to start opening the thrift store on Saturdays. We need to do that. We know that we need to do that. That's going to generate more income. And we have the donations, obviously, to make that work. But I think I covered most of the things. Well, one last thing is we are applying for a AmeriCorps person that would start in the fall. Erin Cass is now in charge of that over at the Community Action Council. She's helping us with that. And we do have to pay a little bit of money for that, but it would not be somebody on our staff, and we think could potentially help us out a lot. So we're looking at avenues, all the avenues that are out there that we're trying to take advantage of. Okay, I think I'm starting to run a little bit here later than I thought I would, because I wanted to have a chance for you to ask some questions, and hopefully I can provide some answers. Yeah?
Hey, what is the cost of your salaries and benefits to the city?
What's the cost? A lot.
Well,
We've got, as I said, we've got 5 salaried positions, and we've got about 12, right now, 12 part-time positions. Our payroll with benefits and all the taxes involved is over $400,000. Yes, that's a big number, but I have checked with other senior centers, mostly on the west side of the mountains, and we're not paying nearly as much as what most senior centers are able to pay. Why is that? Most of them are under the city government. And Edmonds, I don't know how many people have been to Edmonds lately. If you ever get a chance to go to Edmonds, go down and check out their senior center. It cost them $17 million to build a new senior center on the waterfront. They already had the property, and they are one of the few nonprofits on the west side, similar to us. But they're living and residing in a very wealthy community. I'm not saying we're not wealthy here, but I am saying that we're not quite up to that par. And I would also say that when we first got started here years ago, it was on a shoestring. I told Earl that I was going to mention his name because he had a lot to do with getting the senior center up and running way back when, almost 30 years ago. And I always heard the story that they found their first director, they handed her the keys and said, go figure it out. We've been still trying to figure it out, although we've done rather well over the past years. we're in for some real challenges right now. And I think we're all up to the challenge. We just got to keep moving along and figuring it out and adjusting as we go. That's what we're going to do. Okay, I know there's other questions, and everybody's thinking, oh, do I really want to put him on the spot? I knew you'd ask.
Well, this morning you said bring your own coffee cup, and Helen said...
I didn't say that. You said, can I bring my own coffee cup? And I said, we're not going to check your coffee cup. Isn't that what you said?
No,
What did you say?
you said.
No. I said, we have coffee cups, and you said, can I... There was something about you bringing a coffee cup, and I said, no problem.
Previously, you said you'll have to bring your own coffee cup because we have no one.
We have coffee cups. You may not like our coffee cups, but we have blue plastic coffee cups. We have a lot of coffee. We're only asking for donations on our coffee, but we don't have servers. And it's going to be a self-help, and the coffee pots are right around the corner, and there's cream and sugar, and it's help yourself, yeah? And it's only on Fridays. What am I doing wrong?
Just don't drink out of Dave's coffee cup.
Yeah, don't touch my cup. Yeah.
Only on Friday.
Yeah. Yes. Right now. Right now. Fridays at 9 o'clock. We're not going to open up until 9 o'clock on Fridays. Well, we're still feeling our way through this. We're still concerned about large gatherings. We're still concerned about other things going on in here with other groups. We're just still not quite ready to have to say we're back to normal. We're never going to get back. It's going to be a new normal. But
The reason I ask that
yeah.
is because some of us meet on Wednesdays
I
and
know.
Thursdays, there's only 5 or 6 of us. How many people do you anticipate on Friday?
No idea. Although I don't think there'll be many here tomorrow because we haven't been able to get the word out.
My question is, why is it Friday? Why isn't it Wednesday?
Because there are other things going on.
Well, Friday is my sigh of relief that it's Friday. And I don't mind sitting back there thinking I got the rest of the weekend to think about all this, and we'll just do it on Friday. No, we picked a day because Friday used to be a big coffee day, and here I am mincing my words, I guess, because I'm saying I don't need a big crowd. We're not going to manage the crowd. We're going to let people come in, and we're going to see how it works, and we'll adjust and we'll add to it.
I'm not trying to criticize.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get explanations.
Yeah, well, yeah.
One of the reasons is there are other...
One of the reasons is there are other activities going on in that area during the week because we don't have as much space open as we used to have, but we still have activities, groups of people that do different things like make the cards, do crocheting, do sewing of different kinds. There's different activities of groups. There are several people in each of those groups, and they need a place to be. Because if you came on a regular day, you'd see that the majority of this area is taken up by all the activities, especially the exercise activities, because there are a lot of people in each one of those. And this is our main area right now. Later, that may change and there may be more opening back there. But right now there's other people that need to use that as well.
I can assure you we will be making adjustments. But when we start this thing up again, we've been trying to be slow, methodical, take our time, make sure we've thought it through. And oh, by the way, we don't have the staff back in the kitchen that did some of the help with some of these little things that go on. And we're trying to gauge a lot of that. That's the best answer I can give you right now. But at least we got things starting again, and we will continue to expand that. Okay. Bob Perleyberg, welcome back.
I've had several people ask me, they were not me.
No.
would become a draw because they don't know what they're going to have. And I told them to contact Dave, maybe there's some provisions you can do. If it's, certain people that have things, they can only eat certain things, da. And you have in consideration for those people that have dietary needs.
Yeah, I've heard from some of them already, and we're going to stick to what we're doing right now. I know there's dietary needs. We've never been able to really fulfill any dietary needs other than they could look at the menu and say, I can't eat spaghetti sauce or something, that kind of thing. But the best answer I can give you is we are listening to everybody. We're taking it all into consideration. We will be making adjustments, but we're not going to keep everybody happy. I can assure you of that.
I have a question.
What?
Could you maybe work something out with Meals on Wheels?
Yeah.
to deliver?
We have been talking to Meals on Wheels all along. In fact, I've come to know the guy that's in charge now, and we've been discussing. We haven't gotten anywhere, but I mean, there's obviously some overlap in the community with regard to some of the meal programs. One of the reasons we did not do meals out the back door was because we already knew there was mobile meals. There was also the frozen meals that were offered that we provided frozen meals to, and we don't need, in my opinion, overlap isn't always a real good thing for a lot of reasons. And so, but we are in touch. In fact, I'll just tell you that I admire mobile meals a lot, and I'm allowing them to come out here and do a fundraiser and an appreciation event for mobile meals in July. And I try to work with all of those other nonprofits that are in a similar position as we are. Everybody's struggling. And so I think that benefits the community as a whole. But the primary source of our food is Cisco or FSA, and right now we're using Cisco because they're working with us on smaller orders. But we all know what's going on with food prices, and we're exposed to it as well. But and that's why we're not comfortable right now of providing any kind of menu and having people coming back and say, well, you said 45 days ago we were going to have tuna fish. Not that anybody comes for tuna fish, but you get my drift, We just didn't want to put ourselves in a position where we're making promises that we can't keep. And if we can build up our stocks, and we got a whole bunch of frozen stuff in that freezer, and we got like 60 days worth, then maybe we got a lot more flexibility at that point. Our cupboards are still kind of bare back here. And so it's going to be, what we can get our hands on is what we're going to, and the meals are always good. Penny does a great job, but we just don't want to make promises. And oh, by the way, we're not doing any of the theme lunches, okay? At least for now. There's no Birthday Friday, there's no Western Day, and if you're concerned about missing out on pot roast and all of that, we're not going to be doing much of that kind of stuff, okay? In fact, hardly any. It's just too expensive. I got a hand back here. Oh, yeah.
You have to be a member to eat lunch here?
No. We've never required membership to eat lunch here. This is available for people that want to come and have a meal. So no, we are not requiring membership to partake of the meal. Jim.
Not this guy, Jim T. I'm Jim T. too.
Okay. We got that going for us.
I have done I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, eating Meals on the Wheels. I can honestly tell anybody or everybody in this room, it is so much more fun to be here and be with all of you people, be able to visit and do as we come out. And I'll be back here tomorrow.
Well, obviously, we've always known that the social part of our lunch program is the most important part. We never believed there were a lot of people coming here truly in need of a meal. It was more about the social engagement that people could have while they're sitting down and having lunch with various friends and meeting new people. And we want to get back to that. We really want to get back to that. I mean, the lunch program's always been our focal point of the senior center. That's a hub of all activity that we have.
I hate to keep asking questions, Dave, but what requirements for a member or non-member to use the activities within here?
Okay, well, the way I explain it is, if you're participating in any activity at the senior center that's sanctioned by the senior center, you ought to be a member. I mentioned water, electricity, roof, insurance, all those things. And so if somebody's coming in here and doing just about anything, I think they should be a member. And so we've been talking to all the individual groups that have started up again, asking them to become a member. I think we've been very successful with that. We're not twisting arms. And oh, by the way, I mentioned we're not raising our membership fees. Yeah. My wife says I get a little excited sometimes when I'm talking. I hope I'm not getting, am I getting too excited, honey? Okay, she says I'm getting too excited. That's not good. I'll get screamed at tonight. I tend to do that sometimes, but I don't mean to be that way. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to say, and I was just given this little note, our thrift store has just won the world's best thrift store for the 5th year in a row, and it speaks volumes for what those people do back there. And, you know, next time you go back there, just thank them for what they do. Some of them are staff, some of them are volunteers. We got a volunteer that's here 8 hours a day, 4 days a week. I mean, that's what she does, that's what she loves. And we could use a few more of them, but the volunteers have always made this place run. They will always continue to make this place run. The staff just tries to, I call myself a facilitator. That's what I do. I try to facilitate and make things work out. Okay, I've probably gone way overboard. You're probably getting bored. You want to get up and leave in the middle of it, but any last questions? Okay. I want to thank, oh, yeah.
Is aerobics ever gonna come back?
Well, we have aerobics. It's on Wednesday mornings. It's not the same as it used to be. So we lost Connie Townsend, was very popular. She did an excellent job. She has taken a job at Confluence. She's not going to be back with us. And we have a young lady that walked in our doors about a month ago and said, I'd like to try aerobics with the seniors. And so she's here Wednesday mornings, and there's the group that was here previously. There's quite a number of them now. But I will tell you, she's young and she moves quick, and it scares, it doesn't scare anybody. It's just a very robust aerobics. And so we do have the yoga that we're doing some strength yoga, and obviously the sail program is very popular. And we're just trying to figure it out, you know. And so we may even expand the aerobics beyond what it is. We're just getting it going. Okay. Anybody else? Well, thank you very much for attending. We're going to have a great board this upcoming year. I can feel it. I also want you to know that we've had a lot more interest recently about serving on our board, which speaks volumes for our future. I think we've got a very bright future. We just have a lot of challenges ahead of us here in the near term. Just be patient, work with us, and we're not going to keep everybody happy, I'm sorry. Okay, fair enough. Thank you again for coming, and we're going to have a quick board meeting up front here. Aren't we? Am I done? Oh, we need a motion, sorry.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the annual meeting today. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you for all coming today.